London, 1941, in ruins, a gift arriving from distant Brazil, and a brooch that lay hidden in the shadows for an entire century. What connects them? Queen Elizabeth II's aquamarines. These jewels are not just stones. They are silent witnesses to wars, coronations, and changing eras. How did the Queen Mother shine in them during the darkest times? Why did Elizabeth choose them for her jubilee? And how did one brooch inspire Boucheron to create an entire collection? Ready to uncover their secrets? Then make yourselves comfortable. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. So, our first stop on this journey through Elizabeth II's aquamarine treasures is a pair of elegant clip brooches inherited from her mother, the Queen Mother. Imagine the 1930s, the Art Deco era at its peak, with curved lines, sparkling diamonds, and aquamarines glowing in an icy blue hue like frozen droplets. These brooches entered the collection of the then Duchess of York at a time when she was still learning to become a style icon. And, I must say, she mastered the art quickly. A vivid scene, 1935. A young Elizabeth steps into Norman Hartnell's salon. Beside her, her daughters, little Elizabeth and Margaret, giggle as they try on dresses for Princess Alice's wedding. And on their mother, those very clip brooches enhancing her natural charm. Fashion at the time adored such brooches, pinned to collars, lapels, even evening gowns, and the Queen Mother was no exception. In 1939, at a garden party in Regent's Park, she wore them on either side of her neckline, like twin beacons of elegance. Then came 1941. War. East London in ruins. And what did the Queen Mother do? She chose these clip brooches, one pinned to her hat, the other beside another aquamarine brooch. Why? Because she believed that even amid chaos, beauty must be preserved. The Queen Mother deliberately wore her finest outfits and jewelry during visits to bombed-out areas, believing that if these people had visited her, they too would have tried to look their best. Her wartime style was called a gentle demonstration of luxury, a way to maintain a sense of normalcy and respect for those affected. After the war, the clip brooches did not disappear into obscurity. In 1954, she pinned one to her hat at the badminton horse trials, and later, she wore them on her dress for a cozy photo shoot with her grandchildren, Charles and Anne. But as fashion evolved, the Queen Mother increasingly favored larger brooches, like her floral emerald brooch. In 2002, after her passing, the clip brooches were inherited by Queen Elizabeth II. Though she did not wear them often, each appearance with these jewels drew attention. In 2016, at a reception at Buckingham Palace honoring the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, she pinned them to a jacket with a gold and blue floral pattern. A year later, on Christmas Eve, the Queen wore them again for the morning service at Sandringham, pairing them with a sky blue coat. The next brooch also hails from the 1930s, and, like the Boucheron clips, belonged to the Queen Mother before passing to Elizabeth II. The aquamarine Art Deco brooch is a striking example of the Art Deco style. Sharp geometry, massive aquamarines, dazzling diamonds. Its structure is unusual, possibly designed for transformation. There is a theory that the brooch could be divided into two separate pieces. However, as far as is known, neither the Queen Mother nor Elizabeth II ever wore it this way. The first documented appearance of the brooch dates back to March 1939, when the Queen Mother pinned it horizontally to her dress during a visit from French President Albert Lebrun at Windsor Castle. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, the brooch was inherited by Elizabeth II, but for 12 years it remained in her personal collection without appearing in public. Perhaps it held special meaning for her. It wasn't until 2014 that the Queen wore it publicly for the first time, at Royal Ascot, paired with an elegant light blue outfit. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in the brooch's history, as it later appeared at several significant moments during her reign. The last time the brooch was seen on the Queen was in 2022 when she, along with Princess Anne, opened Thames Hospice in Maidenhead. The Art Deco aquamarine brooch remains one of the most elegant and well-documented pieces in the royal collection. However, among Queen Elizabeth II's jewels, there were also those whose history remains shrouded in mystery. One such enigmatic piece is the diamond and aquamarine bar brooch, a small yet refined jewel featuring an aquamarine and diamonds. Its design is reminiscent of the style of the 1920s and 1930s, an elongated shape, clean lines, and at the center a square-cut aquamarine surrounded by diamonds. However, its origins remain unknown. Was it a gift to the Queen, or perhaps a jewel with deep historical roots hidden in the royal collection for decades? Throughout Elizabeth II's reign, the brooch was seen only twice. The first time was in the mid-2000s during the filming of the documentary Monarchy, The Royal Family at Work. In one scene, the Queen is seen conversing with representatives of the St. John's Ambulance Brigade before a garden party at Buckingham Palace. The brooch was pinned to her dress, but was only noticed by the most observant viewers. At the time, it did not spark much discussion, as no details about its history surfaced. The second appearance came in October 2019 during private audiences at Buckingham Palace. This was one of those pieces that Elizabeth wore exclusively in informal settings, without much display, as if valuing its personal significance over its visual impact. After that, the diamond and aquamarine bar brooch once again disappeared from view, but as it turned out, not for long. On New Year's Eve 2024, the brooch made a surprising return to the royal jewelry collection, this time on Queen Camilla. During the traditional church service at Sandringham, she chose an elegant turquoise-toned coat by Bruce Oldfield Couture, accessorizing it with this very brooch. This appearance came as a real surprise, as the brooch had not been seen in public for over 3 years. Does this mean it will now become a regular part of Camilla's jewelry wardrobe? Or was this just a rare glimpse into the mysteries of the royal vault? That question remains unanswered. Perhaps in the future we will learn more about its origins and about the role it will play in the new era of the British monarchy. Some royal brooches are valuable not only for their beauty, but also for the history they carry. One of Queen Elizabeth II's most personal jewels was the set of aquamarine clip brooches, gifted to her by her father, King George VI, on her 18th birthday in 1944. These brooches did more than complement her outfits. They became a symbol of remembrance for the man who played a pivotal role in her life. Initially, many experts, including Leslie Field, attributed the creation of these clips to Cartier. Their design indeed matched the aesthetic of the 1940s. Elegant symmetry, a combination of baguette, oval, and round-cut aquamarines, and clean lines. However, in 2006, during the summer exhibition of the Queen's dresses and jewelry at Buckingham Palace, this theory was disproved. An official statement confirmed that the brooches were, in fact, crafted by the French jewelry house Boucheron. The Queen wore these clips for decades in various styles. Sometimes she combined them into a single brooch, but more often she wore them separately, vertically, asymmetrically, or on either side of her collar. These brooches accompanied her at key moments of her reign. In 2012, she chose them for her speech, marking the Diamond Jubilee. And in 2020, she selected them for a national address commemorating the 75th anniversary of Victory Day. But perhaps the most symbolic moment involving these brooches came in 2022. The Queen was celebrating her Platinum Jubilee, a milestone that made her the only British monarch to have reigned for 70 years. The day before the historic date, she was at Windsor Castle, looking through archival items related to past jubilees, both her own and those of her predecessors. She wore a soft turquoise dress, her signature triple-strand pearl necklace, and those very aquamarine clips, gifted to her by her father 78 years earlier. In that moment, the jewels took on even deeper meaning. They bridged the past and present, serving as a reminder of the young princess who once received them as a gift and the monarch who was marking 7 decades on the throne. Did you know that just recently, Boucheron released a collection inspired by these very aquamarine clips? It was not just a jewelry release. It was a true tribute, a heartfelt homage to a woman who wore these jewels for decades, embedding them with her personal memories and emotions. The Like a Queen collection was first conceived in 2020, when Boucheron's creative director, Claire Choisin, sought to reinterpret the classic Art Deco design, making it modern and versatile. Of course, no one knew then that the collection would be released after Elizabeth II's passing, turning it into a fitting tribute. Designers took the recognizable lines of the Queen's clips and transformed them into an entire universe of jewelry. Every detail reflects a connection to the original. Yet now it is not just brooches but also earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets. The colors and materials vary, almost as if echoing the Queen's famous rainbow wardrobe. Hypnotic blue shimmers with aquamarines and sapphires, just like her beloved jewels. Frosty white glows with the icy brilliance of diamonds and rock crystal, offering a transformable necklace that can be worn in multiple ways. But perhaps the most unexpected interpretations are tied to the Queen's personal habits. Lemon Slice encodes her iconic cocktail, gin with Dubonnet and a slice of lemon, into a sleek all-diamond brooch. Moon White incorporates pearls, an enduring symbol of her style, reimagining the classic three-strand necklace. And, of course, the collection wouldn't be complete without a touch of royal grandeur. Rolling red highlights rubies, while garden green showcases emeralds, nodding to her deep love for nature. Every piece in the Like a Queen collection is not just a jewel, but a small story reflecting the era of one of the most remarkable women of the 20th century. The next aquamarine brooch in Elizabeth II's collection is likely well known to you, as it is part of the legendary set gifted to the Queen by the people of Brazil. This magnificent set began with a necklace and earrings, presented to the Queen in 1953 in honor of her coronation. The Brazilians, renowned for their exceptional aquamarines, selected stones of the highest quality to create jewels worthy of their new monarch. The set was later expanded in 1958 with the addition of a bracelet and a brooch. Crafted in platinum, the brooch features a large radiant aquamarine surrounded by diamonds. The Queen wore this brooch for decades, although it was not among her most frequently used pieces. Unlike smaller, everyday brooches, this aquamarine was eye-catching and perfectly suited for formal occasions. This set was special not only for its beauty, but also for its close connection to Brazil. In 1968, when the Queen made her first state visit to the country, the governor of São Paulo presented her with an aquamarine hair ornament, which was later redesigned into an enlarged version of her aquamarine tiara. Thus, the set continued to grow, transforming into one of the most dazzling collections of jewels in her possession. While the Brazilian aquamarine brooch was not the centerpiece of the set, it complemented it beautifully, creating a cohesive ensemble. Elizabeth II wore it at official events, sometimes pairing it with other aquamarine pieces. Despite the grandeur of her aquamarine tiara, the brooch allowed her to wear this precious gift from Brazil in a more casual format, maintaining a symbolic connection with the country. Since the Queen's passing, the brooch has yet to be seen in public, but given the significance of the set, it is likely that one of the royal women will eventually take it under her care. If the Brazilian brooch was carefully selected and presented as part of a diplomatic gesture, the next jewel appeared as if out of nowhere. One day, in 2015, Queen Elizabeth II stepped out in public wearing a new aquamarine brooch, and no one knew where it had come from. This brooch first caught attention in November 2015, when the Queen arrived at the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Valletta, Malta. For this event, she chose a light blue patterned jacket, complemented by a coral red dress and a matching hat. The aquamarine in the brooch perfectly echoed the soft blue tones of her outfit, while the diamond setting ensured that it remained visible even against the textured fabric of her jacket. The brooch immediately intrigued royal jewelry enthusiasts, yet its origins remain a mystery. Its design can be considered relatively modern due to its unusual rounded diamond composition, but at the same time, it features elements of classical jewelry artistry. The floral motifs suggest a possibly older origin, while the aquamarine itself, with its pure and vibrant blue glow, looks as though it was selected with great care. It is possible that the brooch was a gift to the Queen, or perhaps it had been stored in the royal vault for years before finally making its debut. A few years later, in May 2019, the brooch reappeared in public. This time, the Queen wore it at Buckingham Palace during the presentation of the Queen's Gold Medal for Poetry, an award for distinguished poets. That day, she chose a dress with a gray, green, and blue botanical print, but due to the intricate pattern of the fabric, the brooch was somewhat lost against the background. Since then, the aquamarine cluster brooch has not been seen again. After the Queen's passing, the jewel likely remained in the royal collection, but it is unclear who will wear it next. This small yet striking piece is ideally suited for members of the Windsor family, as it can easily adapt to various styles and occasions. Perhaps one day we will see it on Camilla, Catherine, or even Princess Anne. Until then, we can only wonder when it will once again adorn a royal outfit and shine in the light of the monarchy. But the surprises don't end there. Queen Elizabeth II's collection included another mysterious aquamarine brooch, one that appeared in public only rarely and kept its origins shrouded in secrecy. This is the aquamarine and diamond laurel brooch, an elegant piece featuring a rectangular aquamarine framed by two delicate diamond laurel branches. Interestingly, this brooch has been known since at least the 1980s, but there are no records of its origins. It may have been a gift, a family heirloom, or a personal acquisition by the Queen, but no official mentions or archival records confirm how it entered the Windsor collection. Elizabeth wore it very rarely, making the brooch even more enigmatic. Finally, I want to show you one last magnificent aquamarine brooch that remained in the shadows for over a century. Although Queen Elizabeth II never wore it, this piece was kept in the royal collection for several generations, until it finally made its debut on Queen Camilla. This brooch is a true masterpiece, featuring a large aquamarine set in an intricate diamond frame shaped like a heart, from which another heart-shaped stone dangles on a diamond chain. Its style resembles Fabergé creations and is believed to have been made around 1904, during a time when elaborate fastenings for royal gowns were highly fashionable. For a long time, the brooch remained a mystery, but Norwegian historian Trond Noren Isaacson recently confirmed its origins after discovering it in a photographic inventory of royal jewels at Windsor Castle. It appears that the brooch originally belonged to Queen Alexandra, the wife of Edward VII, and may have been a gift for her 60th birthday in 1904. However, no known photographs exist of Alexandra wearing this jewel. After Alexandra's death in 1925, the brooch passed to Queen Mary, who was well known for her love of rare and intricate jewelry designs. It was later inherited by Queen Elizabeth II in 1953, yet it never made an appearance on her. Perhaps the Queen preferred more understated brooches, or maybe she simply didn't find this aquamarine suitable for her style. And now, more than a century after its creation, the brooch has finally had its moment in the spotlight. In March 2024, Queen Camilla debuted the piece at the Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey, pairing it with an elegant turquoise outfit. This appearance was a real surprise for royal jewelry enthusiasts, as the brooch had been hidden from view for over 100 years. Who knows? Could this brooch become a new favorite for Camilla? Or will it once again disappear into the shadows as it once did? What do you think of this brooch? Do you find it stunning, or do you think it's too large and outdated? These are the fascinating aquamarine treasures that once belonged to Queen Elizabeth II, ranging from deeply personal mementos to grand state gifts. Some of them were seen for decades, while others remained hidden, guarding their secrets. Which of these jewels do you think we'll see on the royal ladies in the future? And which brooch was your favorite? Thank you for watching this video. If you found it interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. There are many more captivating stories about royal jewels ahead. See you in the next video.